Hey everybody, welcome back to The Pressing Matters. I'm Scott. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your support. A new release from Impex is always an occasion, and this is no exception. However, this title is a bit under the radar, I have to admit, and it was a surprise coming from Impex. I had never seen this cover before, I had never heard the music before, but I was intrigued because of the title, Holiday in Brazil. This is by Bud Shank and Laurindo Almeida. I had known Almeida from his work on other albums. I love his guitar work, so right there I was already attracted to this release. The idea of Brazilian influence was very attractive as well for me. Bud Shank was someone that I was not familiar with, but as I listened to this, I realized that they do have a wonderful chemistry together. This was recorded in 1958. It was released in 1959 on World Pacific Records. The engineer on this is Bones Howe. It's an early stereo recording, and as such, you will notice the placement to be wide. So Almeida will be on the right channel, Bud Shank will be on the left, either on sax or sometimes flute. Percussion is arrayed between the speakers, but there's not a strong center image. So it definitely feels like early stereo, but the intimacy and the communication is very good on this record. The interplay between the musicians is wonderful. The two soloists especially, but also the bassist, Gary Peacock. It evokes the Brazilian atmosphere, but not always in an overt way. Sometimes it's just lying beneath the surface, and I feel like Bud Shank, his style is a bit from an earlier era, so more mid-50s kind of sound. And this is pointing towards what would happen in the early 60s with Stan Getz and his collaborations with Brazilian music. There's a lovely sound to this record. It is small and intimate. Radio Recorders is probably a small room. I've never seen a picture of it, but if you go by this, it feels like the width is pretty good. Depth is a little foreshortened, so it actually works really well for this record in giving it this intimate sound. The compositions are mainly by Almeida, but there is a couple of Rodgers and Hart things to kind of anchor you to traditional music. And there is one other cut called Simpatico that opens the album. That's by Stanley Wilson. Right off the bat, you're going to notice the beautiful natural guitar sound, and also the sound on the flute and the alto sax is very, very natural. There's no highlighting, there's no spotlighting. This is very, very much a natural presentation. It's not hi-fi, it's not audiophile in the traditional sense. It is audiophile in the way it's presented and mastered and so forth. The mastering is from the original master tape, so it's cut directly from the tape by Chris Bellman at Bernie Grundman Mastering. A very good pedigree. And the recorded sound is very, very nice. Natural, immersive, and intimate, I would say. There is percussion sprinkled throughout the album that adds color and texture. Mostly hand-struck drums. There are some cymbals and some drums here and there, but mostly it's the interplay between the guitar and the saxophone. And it really is something that is quite interesting, and although it took a couple of listens to sink in, once it did, I recognized it as an understated classic. I think this is a kind of record that is going to take some time to assimilate. You may have some preconceived notions about it because you're thinking of Stan Getz, Brazil, that kind of thing. And it's a little different than that. It feels of an earlier period, but no less compelling. The recorded sound, of course, is different from Verve, but still, in its way, it is honest and very natural sounding. And I love that about this. The label is reproduced really well. I guess these were very like plain paper labels when they came out. And that's how it looks. The jacket is quite nice. Being a little bit versed in typography, I was taken aback by the original typography on this. It's very, very hard to read, as you can see. Um, yeah, this is like a Brazilian textile or something. It evokes a Brazilian art textile. And it makes for a nice jacket, but a little confusing to see who's playing, what the title is. Still, this is really well done. It is a matte back here, and it wraps around in the tip-on style. And this gloss front is pasted on the front with a nice white border here. Perfectly done. I mean, it really is. Stoughton did a beautiful job on this, and I know A.B. Fawn was watching this like a hawk as it came out of the press. Yeah, it looks great. Early stereo sound, very pretty, very beautiful, a little different. And I have to say that, the jazz reissue market is so predictable. And here we have Impex coming up with something that is completely off the radar and equally valid to any jazz classic. I think it's a very worthwhile release. I'd like for you to check it out if you can on streaming. And let me know what you think about Holiday in Brazil. Is this something that you'd like to get an all analog copy of? I'm very pleased to have it. I want to thank A.B. Fawn for sending the review copy. I also did a review in depth for Audiophilia if you'd like to check that out. And until next time, I'm Scott for the Pressing Matters. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.